Welcome back to the Anything Goes with Jackson Neill podcast here on Thursday, November 29th, 2018, right here on SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, and YouTube. Wherever you like to listen to podcasts, this podcast is there. Today I have a very, very cool episode. It's with someone who I really enjoyed talking to over the phone. She's an amazing songwriter, has written for biggest names in the industry, Jennifer Lopez, Pitbull, Drake. But now she's releasing her own great music. One of her latest songs, NOLA, that came out, and it's just a great, great track. She has more great music coming out. Of course, I'm talking about Asiahn. She is Grammy nominated before, and her new stuff is absolutely great. So I interviewed her about her latest music and what she has going forward. So that interview is coming up in this episode of the podcast. But before we get into that great, great interview I did with her, I want to tell you about our sponsor, Believe the Hype. The latest sneakers, they sell them. They get those latest drops, those biggest hype releases, and they sell those sneakers right back to you guys. Visit them at Believe Hype Shop on Twitter and Instagram. There you can find links to all their latest shoes that they have selling. They've had some really, really cool pairs lately. Right now they have the Kyrie 5 tacos in a couple sizes, so go check that out. Links in the description for them, Believe the Hype. And without further ado, now let's head into that interview I did with Asiahn to discuss all of her latest and greatest music. All right, so how did your latest single, NOLA, come together?
I was actually getting over a heartbreak, and I feel like no matter what city you're in, like wherever you feel like you're just like at the worst part of a heartbreak, you just feel like there's no love in that city for whatever reason. So I was here in LA when that occurred, and then also there's just a lot of different dynamics to Los Angeles in general that a lot of people don't get to see. So moving here from Atlanta, Georgia, and thinking it's about to be like palm trees and rainbows and unicorns, and then you get here and it's like a lot of homeless. It's just a lot of, it's a lot of non-love in certain areas. Don't get me wrong, love LA, but at that moment in that time, I felt like, dang, there's no love in LA. It's stupid. LA changes people.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's literally how the song came about. Literally.
Mm-hmm. And another part I thought was really interesting about the song. I really liked it and really enjoyed it. But I also watched the video, and I thought that the video was pretty unique. Can you take me a little bit about what gave you that idea for that video and why you decided to shoot it like that?
Well, I sat and talked to a director named Child, and we went through like different ideas of what we wanted to display in the video. And of course, like I'm a lesbian, so of course I wanted to display a lesbian relationship. But no matter what your orientation is, love is love, and we all go through the same thing, period. Like we all go through horrible heartbreaks where the one person's acting stupid. Like it all happens no matter who you're dating. And but I also wanted to showcase the homeless here in LA. I wanted to just walk around the city and just show all the different parts of it while also showing how there was no love for me in LA. Does that make sense? So it's like kind of like a double entendre of no love in LA, showcasing two different sides of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
And that's how that kind of came about. We wanted to show the time lapse between, like at the beginning of the video, you could see that we started, really close together, almost all over each other, that type of stuff. And then as the video progressed, we, became more and more distant, further and further apart. And so that was the goal, is to show like just how that happens in a journey of a relationship.
Exactly. I thought that was really interesting. I liked how you had the relationship looped throughout all these different shots of the city. I think it really showed just how much the city and the environment really impacted this song and your songwriting process.
Exactly. That's exactly what we wanted to show. So I'm glad you felt that way. Yay, mission accomplished.
Well, it was an awesome video. I also saw that you have another single coming out, Like You. It will be released by the time this interview is released. Can you just tell me a little bit about this song as well?
So, Like You is basically a song about, okay, I'm at the end of a relationship. I'm still in one, but like you go out and you just kind of like, there's some people shooting their vibes your way, and it's kind of like, dang, you fine, but I'm still in a relationship. I'm not a cheater, so, all my love is waiting for somebody like you, but not right now. So basically, that's basically what the song is about, and it's a real life thing that a lot of people do go through, like, you know, like when they're ending a relationship or whatever, and then there's other people like, hey, so what's up? You're kind of like, shit. Well, shoot, I don't know if I can curse. Either way, you're kind of like, shoot, like, I can't really get with you right now. Like, you're freaking awesome though, unless you're a cheater, then, you know, then people cheat, but I'm not a cheater, so.
Well, that's good to hear.
I would never encourage cheating.
So both of these singles, NOLA and Like You, they're both part of their build up to your next project, Love Train 2. What has been this process like, recording this project and going into this one?
So what's crazy was Love Train, the first one, the EP, like the way I made both of these is to where you could play Love Train all the way through the end of Love Train 2, and you'd get the full story. Like, it's literally in order per story, and if you listen to it, you're like, oh crap, so that's what happened in the story. But even still, Love Train 2 is elevated, you know, musically, and just different things I decided to do with Love Train 2. But on Love Train 2, I actually recorded everything myself. So I recorded in my house. I primarily mixed everything. Like, it was just me getting into my own solitude and going through whatever it was I was going through at that moment, and just, you know, working through that, but through music. So it was a very intimate thing. And of course, Cardiac came through and produced everything because he's awesome. So it was just, you know, like, me and him have a vibe, and then I was just able to get everything I was feeling out for Love Train 2. So it was a fun and healing process, I'll say.
Okay, that's interesting to hear. And I think one thing I'm really interested in is the fact that you did a lot of this recording and mixing by yourself, not maybe in the studio environment with other people around. How did being like very by yourself, alone during this part of the process, how do you think that kind of influenced the album or this project in itself?
Well, like, so for Love Train, I was in the studio with my favorite engineer, Stuart. Cardiac will come through sometimes, and so I've already experienced creating a project like that. But in this moment, when I started creating Love Train 2, I didn't even realize I was creating Love Train 2, which is weird. I just had some extra tracks from Cardiac, and I'm like, yo, I have to get this off my chest. I want to record this. And then I just started recording songs in my house, and I'm like, yo, this is Love Train 2. Like, I'm literally continuing the story, and I didn't even mean to do it, so to speak. And that's what happened with the first two songs. And then I was like, okay, let me get serious and really do this. But because I already knew how to record myself, I just think, like, I could take more time on it. Like, I can kind of lounge around the house if I didn't feel like I didn't like that line or I didn't like that verse. I can just go move on to something else. And I just had way more time to do what I wanted while recording on my own.
Mm-hmm. And I think
then, like, I don't listen to a lot of outside music. I don't listen to outside music when I'm creating my own projects, because I don't like to be influenced unknowingly. And a lot of times people just listen to whatever is on the radio or whatever's popping or whatever, and then they get influenced and don't, you know, and then they may do something that's similar to someone else. So I definitely didn't want to do that. So I think that was a great thing for my solitude, because I got to really come into my sound and really just do whatever I wanted to do, and that wasn't influenced by anyone else.
That's definitely an interesting recording process. I mean, I've never really heard of people doing that like that, and I think that's such a cool idea. The fact that, you know, you're really you're not allowing yourself to be this is what you want to do, and you're not going to be swayed one way or the other by someone else's music, because you can sometimes hear people maybe hopping on a trend because you hear everyone else doing that. But by not listening to it, I guess you're able to save yourself from appearing in that kind of situation where you can just do your own thing and not have to worry about what everyone else is doing around you.
Exactly. And I did the same thing for Love Train. So, like, but I'm very deeply rooted in R&B in general. But I'm also very deeply rooted in a lot of different types of cultures of music. So I when I create, I just want to create from what I know, from what I've been raised on and what I've studied and, you know, stuff like that. Not what is popular at the moment or what somebody else is doing. Like, that's not my thing. Like, that's why I love my project so much, because I know it's 100% authentically just me. And that's the best way to do it, I feel like. At least for me. I can't speak for anybody else.
Like, exactly. And so in this, do you listen to like music maybe you've listened to growing up or something like that, or is it just no outside music at all?
Well, did I listen to other music? I listened to, like, there's a few people on a playlist that I've created that I may listen to while I'm in the middle of recording, but they're like completely not in my genre, completely doing something else, and they would just be something to cleanse my ear palette, if you will. I feel like if you're in the studio for too long, your ear will become a little dead and everything will start to sound the same. So like I like to cleanse my ear palette and listen to other stuff. Like I love Imogen Heap. I love there's this composer, he actually passed away, his name is Moses Hogan. I just listen to all different types of music. So when I'm listening to other things, when I'm creating, it's stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with what I'm doing, if that makes sense.
Exactly. It's like you said, allowing yourself to almost to clear your head and give yourself a fresh perspective. One thing I heard you talk about this was you said you didn't even realize when you started creating Love Train 2, and I think that's such a cool thing, because a lot of times these sequels maybe are only too pre-planned out. When you started recording these songs, was there a different project in mind and you just decided you had to do a sequel? What did you ever consider that maybe a sequel would be in the works, or was this something completely that even surprised yourself?
What's crazy is when Love Train came out and it started really getting traction, and like I would go on live, or I would go on like Cardiac's live, and people would joke like, yo, where's Love Train 2? I was like, yo, y'all want LT 2? And like we'd be joking about it, but we were kind of serious, but we didn't know when we were going to start. So when I just started recording and I sent to him like, yo, listen to this, he was like, yo, that's Love Train 2. Like, what we doing? And I'm like, oh my God, you're right. Let's do this. And that's just kind of what happened. But I think that's one of the best things about being able to record yourself and having your own like studio set up by yourself, because you can just create whenever you want to, whenever you're influenced or inspired or compelled to get whatever that is on your chest off. You can just go ahead and create, and you never know what you create at that point. So it was funny. Like we were planning on doing a Love Train 2, but it just kind of happened without us trying to do it, if that makes sense.
Exactly. It was just kind of an organic process. And you keep mentioning
exactly
throughout, you have your producer Cardiac, who you've done all these songs with. What's it like to have a singular producer like that you can always kind of count on to go to and like, okay, I want to do this kind of track, and you guys have just that great of a chemistry between an artist and a producer?
It's amazing, actually, and it's not very common a lot of times. And because I'm a songwriter and I have to write with a lot of different producers, when it came down to doing my own project, I wanted to make sure that it was with someone who completely believed in me as an artist, first of all, and then just got it, and he just gets it no matter what it is. And then when people hear the album, they'll see what I mean when I'm saying like we have some different sounds and we're doing a little bit of different stuff. And even with NOLA has absolutely no percussion on it. It was actually an interlude first before it became a full song. So NOLA was so good. We're like, oh my God, it's so good. Like, why is it ending right now? And they're like, yo, we should put this out first. But like as a single, I said, yo, so I have to make it extended. And we just did it. Like there's no rules to what we create. And that's what I like about me and Cardiac's creations. There's no format. We don't have to do whatever anybody else is doing. We can do whatever we want, whatever feels good. And that's always my goal with anything that I create, is to make people feel. And I believe it's the same for him. So even like for instance, with NOLA, there's a section in the second verse where the bass comes in, and it just kind of swarms you up into the vocal somehow, but you just feel it. Like everybody, like a lot of people get chills around that area, but it was done intentionally to make you feel. So that's what I really appreciate about his genius and how he creates. And then when we come together, it's just like, ta-da, magic.
Of course. And it's crazy you mentioned getting chills, because I literally have that as a note right down in front of me, that during that portion of the song right around there, I had this intense emotional feeling when I was listening to it. So I think that's kind of crazy you guys were able to put that in there into the track like that.
That's so funny. Yeah, like it's literally intentional, like, because I'm saying something that's real, and you like, even without the bass that was there, you felt it. You did get chills. But then that's the amazing thing about working with an awesome musician, is that they can take whatever you make and then even make that better, and that was the magic between him and I.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think another part that must be refreshing is that when you see, as an artist, if you were to work with multiple producers, on almost be every single song would be step one, getting to know each other. For you guys, I imagine it's something where each song builds off of each other it's a continuation from track to track.
Right. And my biggest thing is consistency. I love a consistent sounding project, one that's gelled so great that you can play it from top to bottom and don't skip anything, because nothing feels out of place. And that was why I primarily wanted to just work with one producer. I can't say that I'll do the same on the next album, but whatever I do, Cardiac's always going to be a part of whatever I'm creating. But I definitely want to open it up for collabs with Cardiac and other producers, and just see what else we come up with.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I'm certainly really excited for this project, and now looking forward to its release, coming up. What are you feeling like as this album, you've released a couple singles now, what are you feeling like going into the release of it?
I'm kind of antsy. This album has actually been complete since January, so I've been waiting to release this for a while, and I'm like, oh, finally it's starting to come out. People are starting to get the music. People love the music. Like, it feels good to just get it out. I'm not scared or anything. I'm not nervous. At first, when I first started creating for Love Train 2, I was like, I just want to make sure that I live up to Love Train, because people had such high praise. I didn't get any negative feedback. People just loved Love Train, the whole entire EP. And I was like, crap, I gotta somehow be better. But that's just something you do as a creative, I guess, in the beginning. But as I grow, so does my sound, and so does, my writing. So I couldn't do anything but get better for the next project, in all honesty. So I'm just really excited. I'm really ready to get it out so people can, like, just get their lives,
Do you have a release kind of time frame?
I do. I don't know if I could share it.
Well, we'll certainly keep...
I don't know if I can share it yet.
Okay. Well, we'll look out for it on your social medias, everything like that.
I don't want to jinx it.
Okay.
I don't want to jinx it, because it was actually supposed to be out in November. So, yeah, I don't want to jinx it.
Well, everyone's certainly looking forward to it. Thank you so much for doing this interview, by the way.
No problem. I'm always excited to just talk to people and see how you feel about the music. Like, it's a great way for me to stay connected. And then, like, even you saying, like, yo, I had chills around this part. It just shows that I'm doing what I was supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? It's weird, but thank you. Thank you for wanting to interview me. How about that?
I know she thanked me, but I want to thank her again, Asiahn. She was really awesome to have onto the show. Really, really enjoyed talking with her. Remember, go check out all of her great music. Links down in the description wherever you like to listen to this podcast, whatever platform you are on. With that, that'll wrap it up for this episode, of Anything Goes with Jackson Neill. Remember, check out our sponsor. This is sponsored by Believe the Hype. They're selling the latest sneakers. They get the biggest drops, sell them right back to you guys. Visit their Instagram and Twitter at Believe Hype Shop. Check out their latest pairs. They have a new website launching soon. They have a lot of cool sneakers, so I'd check those guys out if you have the time. Links down in the description for that as well. And also follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I gotta plug myself, right? At JacksonNeil20. I post links to all my different podcasts, little clips of interviews I do, bonus content for you guys. And just my thoughts. I think they're pretty interesting. Hopefully you do too. I guess if you listen to about 19 and a half minutes of my podcast, hopefully you do. So check that out. This podcast is updated throughout the week right here on SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, YouTube, as well as the Jackson Neill Sports and Music Podcast in the same feed as this. So you get all those great things in whatever place you like it, in easy feeds for you guys to subscribe to. So with that, that'll wrap it up. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you all next time.